know that we really count on your suggestions, your input, your energy around how we move forward the mayor's age-friendly agenda for the District of Columbia as part of his overall One City plan. It is really critical that over the course of the next year, we're able to provide the mayor with a strategic plan of how the whole notion of age-friendly gets embedded in every aspect of the city. So I want to thank the volunteers who are here. Raise your hand from the universities and from our neighborhoods. Please raise your hand if you're volunteering. I want to recognize some of the folks. I know David Burns, who is our director of Department of Human Services, is here. I want to recognize him and thank him. I don't know if any of our other directors or agency heads are here, but I know, Harriet Tragoni's here. Thank you, Harriet. That tells you how folks in the city are beginning to appreciate how this agenda fits into the work that they're doing. With Harriet in the Office of Planning, and as she and I sat this week on a Move DC strategy session to look at how we are bettering the transportation modes in the city. And of course, the question she and I both asked is, how does this fit every single sector of the city, including those of us who may not be able to get on a bicycle and ride down 15th Street, but need to be able to get on a bus or need to be able to get on any other mode of transportation, and more importantly, be able to walk. How many are walkers? Very good. So we want to be able to walk in our cities, walk in our neighborhoods, walk to wherever we are headed during our busy days. So for our lead agencies and wellness centers who helped coordinate getting people here today, thank you very much. Over the course of this year, and the mayor will share a bit more what the strategies are as we move forward, but this is one of many events that we've been having around making sure that we're getting the right input for the work that we will be moving forward. None of this would be possible without the mayor and without the mayor's vision around One City. One City really is about making sure that all sectors of the city benefit from the amazing, thriving city that we have. And his vision was driven all of us who are part of his administration and all of us in the community to really come up with the strategies that make this city viable for all. I am absolutely thrilled to be part of his administration. I am thrilled to work side by side with him and to be able to help a little bit, at the very least, carry out some of that vision and some of that agenda. I am excited to introduce the mayor of the District of Columbia, Vincent Gray.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. What a great day it is. I want to thank my dear friend, my longtime friend, Deputy Mayor B.B. Otero, for such a nice introduction. It is always nice to be introduced by her because I have such enormous respect for what she has done for so many years over the city and throughout the city. And frankly, she was one of the people who early on I asked to come and help me do this. Somebody who I knew had the wherewithal to tackle some of the most difficult problems in the city because she has done that for so long. For those who don't know, she gave up running an organization that she essentially had created, an organization, Centronia, which continues to thrive today. She sent me an email the other day to let me know that there were going to be some additional investments in Centronia. So, Bibi, I want to thank you for the great work you've done. You've done an absolutely phenomenal job as the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services for this city, and I personally want to applaud and thank you. I also want to say good morning to Dr. Thompson, who heads our Office on Aging Services, who too, I think, has done an absolutely fabulous job of helping us move our aging services forward in the city. You know, it's wonderful to go across the city and hear people talk about Dr. Thompson. People really like Dr. Thompson. He's the only aging services director I know that wears a bow tie on a Saturday morning. I also want to thank Gail Cohn, too, who has taken on this whole age-friendly, future of the city responsibility, and she gets high marks as well. In fact, the first thing that Louis Davis said to me this morning when I came in was, I want you to know that Gail is doing an absolutely great job. And I know Louis well enough to know that he's not going to say something that he doesn't mean. So, Gail, thank you very much for taking this on and being a leader in the city. And of course, to Louis Davis, who has AARP. I guess AARP now just means AARP, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it used to be. Real possibility. Real possibility, yeah. It used to be that it had American Association for Retired, yeah. And it was very clever, wasn't it? I guess they were thinking about a new name, so they just said, why don't we just be AARP? Everybody knows what that is. That is branding, if there ever was. And I've known Louis for quite some time, too, and worked with him even when he was in a different capacity with the AARP. That's right, when I was with Covenant House, that's exactly right. Well, in any event, you ascended to the top, and we're delighted that you are there and a partner in helping us do this. So how about a big hand for Louis and Gail? It's been a tough week in the city, hasn't it? Who could have possibly known that on Monday morning we would have the circumstances that we faced at the Navy Yard? I certainly didn't. But I have to tell you, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that because we've all heard so much of it already this week. But frankly, I couldn't be more proud of our city and our first responders because our city really stepped up. This was a federal installation. It is a military installation. The people who were involved in this essentially were folks in the federal military complex, if you will. But our folks, our Metropolitan Police Department, our Fire and Emergency Medical Services, our Homeland Security Agency, and people all across the city really stepped up to be able to make sure that our city continued to be safe. So in the wake of such a heinous, horrible crime, again, I'm proud of our city having shown through. And I just want to take the opportunity to be able to mention that and to thank all of those across the city who really rallied to make to continue to make our city safe. I want to thank David Burns and Harriet Trigoni for being here as well. I think David really has a tough job, doesn't he? Does he, Deputy Mayor? And I think we've made more progress on that front than we have in many, many years in the District of Columbia. Getting people who have been on welfare, some for many, many years, excuse me for using that term, but that is what it is, to get people to think about a different way of life, to be able to get ready to go to work. And he's done an extraordinary job of bringing integrity and vision to that process. So, David Burns, I want to thank you for what you have done for the nation's capital and the District of Columbia. And of course, Harriet heads our Office of Planning, and planning has such an important role to play in really the future of our life in the city. She too has made an enormous contribution to our city, and we're now working on one of the more controversial things, and be good to get some of the views in here, and that is, what should we do about the Height Act in the District of Columbia? Should we change the Height Act? Should we keep things the same? Should we think about the possibilities of how we grow and create more opportunities as a city? And isn't that a part of what we're talking about today? and that is growing and creating more possibilities. And frankly, one of the ways of thinking about that is to think in terms of whether we create, whether we start to use more airspace here in the District of Columbia, and if we do, how do we use it? Where do we use it? What do we do with it? Will be living, office? What will be the options that will be available to us? And I'm absolutely certain, Harriet, that there'll be lots of discussion about this one, as you well know. And I want to thank you for helping think through some of the very difficult issues associated with this. And we know no matter what is thought through, there will be some people who at the end of the day will not like what it is that we have on the table, but that's okay. That's the way you make progress. Some of the things that we've been able to do in the city have been things that people resisted along the way. I don't want to be a part of a city. I'm a native Washingtonian. I was born and raised in this city, and I'm delighted to be able to be a part of a city that will stand up and think forward, not wait till everybody else has done it, and then put our finger up in the air and figure out what direction we should be heading in. That's not innovation. That's not vision. That's just followership. And we don't want to be followers, do we? Don't we want to be people who think ahead and do the kinds of things that will continue to make our city great? And that's what we're about here today, how we figure out how to be a more prosperous and equitable and inclusive city for the residents. We are growing, ladies and gentlemen. This city is growing. We have 632,000 people now who live in the District of Columbia. It's probably actually more than that. We're probably around 645,000 people at this stage. And for those who don't know, we actually have a population now that is larger than the entire state of Wyoming, and we have a population, Wyoming, and we also have a population that's larger than the entire state of Vermont. Who would have ever thought that we, as the nation's capital, as the District of Columbia, would actually have more people living in it than in 2 states? And you give us enough time and we're going to be able to exceed some of those other states as well. If the current trajectory that we are on says that we will probably in 15 to 20 years, we will hit 850,000 or more people, which will be the largest population we've ever had in the District of Columbia. And one of the things we need to recognize is that people will be living longer, which is a good thing, and the numbers will be growing, especially among those who are aging in the District of Columbia. And that's why you have such an important opportunity now and in the weeks ahead to be able to shape what this city will look like in the future, especially for those who are moving along in years. We have indicated that we want to be, right, folks, we want to be an age-friendly city by 2017. That would be 4 years from now, and that will be on us before we even know it. And the question is, what does it really mean to be an age-friendly city? And by the way, isn't it great to be in the venerable Howard Theater today? How many folks have ever came to the Howard Theater back in the day? All right. I know Ms. Thomas did, right? Let's see, we had the Motown Review. How many of y'all remember Motown? Yeah. We had Smokey Robinson and the Miracles here. We had the Supremes that were here. We had Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was here, our own native son, Marvin Gaye. And of course, we had the great, the incomparable James Brown, who played on this very stage. You know, I was here once. I was here once when James Brown was here, and I've never seen anything like this in life. He had a whole band. It was called, anybody remember the Famous Flames? Famous Flames. He actually went through the entire band, took each instrument from whoever was playing it, and played it himself. He played every instrument in the band. I've never seen anything like that before, and I certainly have never seen anything like that since. One of the most innovative and creative, a genius really, a musical genius, and made such an enormous contribution. That's why it's great to see the Howard Theater back. today. In any event, just as this theater helped to reinvent music, you are back in this theater today to be able to reinvent our city. You have the opportunity to put an indelible imprint on this city in ways you will be able to look back on it and say, the direction that our city is heading when it comes to people who are aging is something that I had the ability to influence. So don't miss that opportunity today. And we've already done a good deal of work in this effort. First of all, we did a senior needs assessment, which we now have the results of. We did that, I guess, about, I don't know, more than a year ago, right? We did our senior needs assessment. Can you believe that we had no senior needs assessment, Ms. Thomas? We hadn't done one since 1978 in the city. That is a long time ago, right? So we have done that work, and we now have that information available to us that helps us put together I guess we'll call it a multi-year roadmap. And out of that, we established 4 very important goals. First of all, the commitment to transform our city into an inclusive and accessible urban environment, which means is a fancy term for being able to get around no matter what your challenges may be, and that there is a place for everybody. And shouldn't the city be a place for everybody? Shouldn't we be one city, ladies and gentlemen? And also to be able to continue to make sure we invest the resources. The resources is a fancy term for invest the dollars, you know, and the volunteers who can make differences in the lives of people here in the city. Also, to improve access, we finish our transportation contract. Yeah. We finished our. All right. We have a new transportation contract, which means that people will be able to get around all over the city, Dr. Thompson. Hey, that's an enormous accomplishment, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for being able to do that. But it also means being able to make sure that people have meals available to them. I happen to think, and I think we've had for a while, one of the finest senior programs in the nation, right here in our nation's capital. I saw where we were ranked on a list, and we're going to move up that list. But the senior wellness centers, aren't they nice places to go? Yeah. And the physical and recreational activities that we have available. I don't know if you all have seen what we have done with our recreation centers. We took on, what, BB, last year? About this time last year? Yeah, we took on Play DC, which is a commitment to upgrade 32 playgrounds in the city. We put $30 million into that. And under the leadership of Deputy Mayor Otero and Jesus Aguirre, who is now moving up to another position, we took on working with communities to create new play spaces, 32 upgraded, renovated, modernized, whatever you want to call it, playgrounds across the city. And every one of those playgrounds focuses on making sure they are available and accessible to people who may have physical challenges and other challenges, and we know that includes our seniors. And of course, being able to strengthen our partnerships to improve senior services was the 4th goal. And I'm really excited. Gail and I were just talking about the fact that the president of George Washington University, which happens to be my alma mater, took on the chairmanship, the co-chairmanship, if you will, with Deputy Mayor Otero, the Age-Friendly City Initiative. And let me tell you, Steve Knapp has many, many things to do. And for him to do that and to bring the resources of the university to work with us is an incredible thing. It's going to really move us forward, I think, to be able to get to where we want to get to by 2017. And so we've been putting information together. We've been putting data together. We had in May, we had a senior symposium. Where were we at? The Omni Shore? Is that where we were? The Omni Shore, right. We put together a senior symposium that continued to collect information. And of course, with all of what we've been able to do, today is yet another opportunity, and really is great to see so many people who are here today. One more opportunity for us to gather information and make sure that we know that we are heading in a direction that people want to go. We are trying to make sure that what we do is wedded with, we don't want to have senior programs that are over there, if everybody understands what I mean. We want our programs for seniors to be integrated with everything else that we do in the city, because that is the only way to be able to do this and do this the right way. And so that means our One City Action Plan, which the Deputy Mayor mentioned earlier, will be an important part of that. And also Sustainable DC. How many of you all are familiar with Sustainable DC? Good. I didn't expect that many people to raise their hand. I was in a meeting not so long ago where I was, going on about sustainability, and the person was a policymaker who looked at me and said, "What is sustainability?" And I realized that not everybody knows what sustainability is. I sort of describe it as being about making sure that we protect the environment. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that is one of the better ways to be able to describe it. In any event, we've made progress. For example, the Office of Planning and DDOT, everybody know what DDOT is, right? Our Transportation Department, have worked together to provide guidelines for the design and improvement of our streets, our sidewalks, our driveways, landscaping, parking areas, building facades, and also how we get around the city. Y'all familiar with the bike share program? Yeah, I think we have the most robust bike share program in the nation. There are others who are trying to catch up with us and will catch up with us because they have a larger population. But you know what? Right now, we got the biggest bike share program in the country, and until they catch us, I'll just keep bragging about the fact that we have the most robust program in the country. I've already talked about Play DC and the renovated playgrounds. We also, how many of you all use our libraries? Aren't they wonderful now? We have 26 libraries in the District of Columbia, and 16, 17 of them have either been completely rebuilt or completely renovated and modernized. And I think we now are considered to have one of the best, if not the best, library systems in the nation. And they are there especially for our seniors to be able to use. The computers, where you can work on computers, do things that you want to do, the Digital Commons program that we just opened recently at the main library downtown. And also, we are upgrading our taxi cab system. Our taxi cab system has needed some work, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you really ought to applaud on that one. For those who don't know, by the end of the month, 5,000 of the 6,000 taxi cabs in the city will have credit card readers in them, which means we will take the cash system out of, and it becomes a safety feature also. It means you can get in and use your credit card to be able to charge a cab ride. And also, we're getting other alternatives to cabs in the District of Columbia. And one of the things that we are committed to, which will, I think, especially help our senior population, that is over the next several years, as cabs, as they wear out and we have to replace them, we are going to change the colors on our cabs so that there is one color in the District of Columbia for cabs. When you see a cab coming down the street, you will know it by the color. When you go to New York, you know those cabs are, what color are the cabs in New York? Absolutely, they're yellow. And you can go to other places where they are a distinctive color. Well, we've had a distinctive color also. It's any color you wanted to pick. But we're going to change that. And probably by, I don't know, by, what's this, 2013? Probably by 2019, 2020, all the cabs in the District of Columbia will be a different color. And frankly, we couldn't do it quicker because people don't want to turn their cabs in any more quickly than that. But we do have a new rule that you can't keep these cabs on the street now longer than a certain number of years. So in any event, we have a great deal that is going on. We have a lot of work that's being done. We have a lot of enthusiasm. We have a lot of creativity. We have a lot of energy in the city at this stage. And we're going to ask you all to work with us today. This is a pivotal moment. This is a moment when we can turn the corner on our planning and making sure that we have in place the direction that we want to go. So thank you all very much for coming out to the historic Howard Theater today. I wish I could say we're going to roll out some of the musical geniuses of the past, but we can't do that today. But I don't think we need them, because I think we got the geniuses right out here to help us be able to move this city forward. So thank you all very much for coming out. I would now like to ask the director of the AARP, who has invested so much of himself over the years, to come up and have a few words with you. Please join me in welcoming Louis Davis.
Good morning, everyone. And on behalf of AARP in the District of Columbia, I just want to congratulate the mayor and all of his team here on the stage for bringing this age-friendly city process to where it is today. We are very happy at AARP with the way things are going, and we think we're on a great track. We can outdo Portland, Oregon. We can outdo New York City, and about 32 other cities around the world that have earned the distinction of being an age-friendly city. There's no reason why we can't take what they've done and make it better, and then show them a few things, too, about how to do it in the nation's capital. That's all I have to say. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Know that we continue to work at AARP on behalf of everybody 50 and older, plus their families and friends. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Thompson. I'm with the DC Office on Aging. What I want to quickly do is share a PowerPoint presentation and give you a status update of where the mayor began his journey October of last year. And before that time, as the mayor mentioned, it was this senior needs assessment, an assessment that was not done in 34 years for the District of Columbia. So I'll get into that and where we are today and what we hope to become by 2017, what we will become by 2017. So as you look at this slide here, you'll see that the world is getting older. The world is getting older. And there's for a number of reasons. If you look at hospitals, and before they were called hospitals in the late 1800s, they were called poorhouses or almhouses. They were ran by community-based organizations, not the government. Then eventually we had an established public health system where we had clean water. Then we had vaccinations for rubella, for malaria, for tuberculosis, for influenza. And you see individuals are living longer. And based on this slide here, you'll see the greatest percentage of seniors are in Europe and here in the United States, if you can advance the slide. And by 2050, we will more than double the number of seniors, those individuals age 60 and over in this country. But if you just look from the left side of the screen, from 1900 all the way to 2050, and you see the different shades on the bar graph for every segment of the population, the 60 and 64, the 65 to 74, 75 to 84, and the 85 plus population have will drastically increase by 2050. So what is an age-friendly city? The mayor calls it a fundamental shift. That's what it's all about. It is a systems change. It is a paradigm shift. And as I was with the mayor recently, he asked me to explain an age-friendly city. It is making sure that we have a city that is inclusive of the senior population. As we continue to plan, do long-term planning for the District of Columbia, and as we budget, appropriate dollars for different programs, we want to make sure that seniors are a part of that process. Every facet of that senior's life, whether it's transportation, whether it is housing, whether it is home and community-based services. And one thing for Mayor Gray, he is a strong proponent of home and community-based services. And so if we have any nursing home folks in the room today, no, we're not here to step on your toes. But it is the humanistic thing to do. that we want individuals to remain at home in that familiar surrounding, in that den, in that dining room that you celebrated Thanksgiving for so many years. You want to be able to remain in the community and have the flexibility to live your life with a positive quality of life. And so this age-friendly city movement was started by the World Health Organization, and we're very grateful for Louis Davis, who tapped Washington, D.C. He worked hard to make sure that Washington, D.C. became a part of this movement. And as soon as the mayor found out about it, he understands that it aligns with this One City Action Plan. And I'll go more into our strategic plan, this new living community plan that we have in the District of Columbia, and the mayor announced October of last year. So according to one organization, they ranked DC as number 23 in terms of a senior-friendly city. I did some research and found another website that ranks us 4th overall in terms of large metropolitan cities of being, I like that data a lot better, Mr. Mayor. I found that one at the 11th hour. And so, and what that means, and I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. And so being a Southern boy, I think about just sitting on a porch. I think about being in the country as living the golden years. But as I get a chance to be in this position I'm in now, what senior living is, a quality of life for seniors, will be their opportunity to be able to access the necessary resources in the community. So living in a geographically dispersed area, you may not be able to access those services. So we're talking about having fresh fruits and vegetables, having social programs and recreational programs, transportation to the doctor's appointment, to church, and the other venues. And so being in a metropolitan city is not a bad thing. And our goal is to become the #1 age-friendly city in the world, not the United States, but the world. We want to be the model for the world. Yes, thank you, thank you. So as we look at this age-friendly model, it is about active aging. And so you'll see the different determinants here: economic determinants, health and social services, behavioral determinants, and the list goes on. And so this active aging, and of course, one's economic background makes a difference in one's lifespan. One's health status, when you think about hereditary, one's health status makes a difference in one's life expectancy. It makes a difference in their quality of life as they continue to live their golden years and whether or not they'll be able to get into their golden years. So our job is to be able to impact the social determinants, the economic determinants, and all these other factors, especially physical environment. When we look at the transportation infrastructure in the District of Columbia, as the mayor asked me a moment ago about this transportation contract, and I tell you, and the mayor remembered from the time that I briefed him on it some months ago as we toured Washington, D.C. and go to these senior buildings and as we go to these senior wellness centers, folks are asking about transportation. That is a huge issue. And many of our seniors who are here today, you understand that we need transportation. We need adequate transportation that stretches beyond just taking seniors to a life-sustaining medical appointment such as chemotherapy and dialysis. We want to be able to go to Costco. We want to be able to go to the museums. That is a part of being an age-friendly city, being able to combat social isolation. So, according to the World Health Organization, there are 8 domains of an age-friendly city. I won't read them all to you. You see it here: outdoor spaces and public buildings. The mayor mentioned Play DC. The Department of Parks and Recreation, under Jesus Aguirre's leadership and under Deputy Mayor B.B. Otero's leadership, really did an overhaul on our playgrounds. And I mean that. You go to our playgrounds, you'll see that we have universally designed equipment. I would say the first time that you'll see a jurisdiction that have programs that really cater to, think about it, those grandparents raising grandchildren. No longer do a grandparent have to go to a park and recreation facility, whether indoor spacing or outdoor spacing, and focus on reading a book and sitting on the bench. know while the grandchild is active on the monkey bar, that grandparent could be doing some strength training exercises. So if you haven't had a chance, how many of you all, first of all, have had a chance to see our new playground? Show of hand. Okay, I'd like to see a lot more of you all, really. It's an opportunity to really see how the mayor has advanced the agenda of this One City Action Plan and has gotten us to the next level. This also aligns with an age-friendly city. And housing, we understand housing is a huge issue. And one thing the mayor will say, we don't want to see seniors being pushed out because of the cost of living in the District of Columbia, because of the rent in the District of Columbia. We want seniors who will be able to have adequate and affordable housing. Clap on that. And for those individuals who heard the mayor's State of the District address earlier this year, he mentioned how he has invested $100 million into affordable and accessible housing. That will impact our seniors. That will impact those persons with disabilities on fixed income, and they need the housing. Transportation, as I mentioned a moment ago. Social participation. Making sure that we have sufficient, adequate programs for our seniors. And of course, not just having seniors going to a wellness center, but making sure it is interwoven into everything we do in the District of Columbia. Civic participation and employment. It is not good enough for a senior to get a part-time job. Yes, it's good for them to be able to supplement their income, but also, is that employer offering them benefits? That is the litmus test. That is the litmus test. Not just the pay, once again, but making sure that they have the health benefits so that they can access quality health care services in the District of Columbia. Now, as you look at the World Health Organization, it is a 5-year process. So as the mayor mentioned, he started it last year when he made his announcement in Ward 7 at the Senior Wellness Center. So we're still on track, you all. We're still on track, and we'll remain on track. So the first 2 years is about conducting the senior needs assessment. The mayor was actually ahead of the curve because he commissioned the Office on Aging to do the needs assessment already. So what we're doing here today is collecting additional data. We want to drill down. The needs assessment that was completed in 2012, we mailed out surveys, we had smaller focus groups, but this is the second forum that the mayor has hosted this year. May 10th was the first one, as he mentioned, for the mayor's second annual senior symposium. So this is the second huge forum for data collection. And our folks are also going out into the community to drill down. We really want to hear from folks that we normally don't hear from. As I tell my team at the DC Office on Aging, to put things in perspective, we have approximately 104,000 seniors in the District of Columbia. However, we only serve approximately 45,000 seniors, and that is not good enough for me. And as I tell folks, even if Warren Buffett, the billionaire, moved to the District of Columbia, we can serve him. We can serve him. How? He knows how to make money, but he does not necessarily know about long-term services and supports, and his options if he was hospitalized, and what do you do once you are discharged from that hospital? Where do you go and get rehabilitation service? Who's going to advocate for you? Yes, it's much easier for a billionaire, but it is the same mindset that we want to be able to help every individual in the District of Columbia, every single senior, to be able to tap into the resources. So it takes a forum like this to hear from more individuals. Years 3 through 5 is our opportunity to implement the plan. We'll implement the strategies that will be given to the mayor next year, early next year, spring of next year. His task force will present that plan to him, and making this an age-friendly city by 2017. And beyond just implementing the plan, we'll also evaluate the progress along the way. And so it is a continuous cycle. The ultimate goal is to be able to have a strategic plan and making sure that the initiatives are interwoven into what we do as a District of Columbia government. And it goes beyond the government. It goes into the private sector. Anyone, any stakeholder in the District of Columbia, we want to make sure that they understand what does it mean to be an age-friendly city. That is what it's all about. So let's move into the planning phase. As I mentioned, I won't stay on this slide long. The mayor commissioned this study that was completed in 2012, so around September 2012. And if you all have not seen the senior needs assessment, it is on our website. And for those who can write it down, dcoa.dc.gov. We want to make sure that you see that needs assessment. It has a lot of good information. It validated what we believed is going on in areas that need to be improved in the District of Columbia. As a result of that senior needs assessment, we developed the new community living plan. And the mayor mentioned the 4 goals of this strategic plan. Goal number 1 is to become an age-friendly city. And so that'll be done by 2017. Goal number 2, which also aligns with the mayor's One City Action Plan, is to decentralize the Aging and Disability Resource Center. And for those who are not familiar with the Aging and Disability Resource Center, or an ADRC, it is a one-stop shop for helping seniors, persons with disabilities 18 and over, and family caregivers access long-term services and supports. So whether it is home and community-based services, whether it's institutional care, our job is to access those services for them. As we tell folks, we do not dictate. We empower people with information so that they can have the sufficient data, the sufficient information to make informed decisions for themselves and for their family members. Goal number 3 is to increase access to nutritious meals, to socialization and recreational activities in the District of Columbia, of course, for our seniors. Goal number 4 is to create new partnerships, strategic partnerships, so that we can bolster programs for seniors. So we want to get beyond what the Office on Aging has been doing for years. Yes, it's okay to partner with the same organizations. It's okay. But as employees come and go, also partnerships come and go. As seniors continue to get older, what seniors want today are not necessarily the same needs and desires of those seniors 10, 15, and 20 years ago. So we want to remain a vibrant organization with vibrant partners willing to walk this journey with us. So as I mentioned a moment ago, in October of last year, the mayor unveiled his new community living plan and also announced that the District of Columbia will become an age-friendly city by 2017. May of this year, May 10th of this year, the mayor kicked off his senior symposium. This was his 2nd annual senior symposium. And at this symposium, we had a chance to have a participatory process where we brought in over 500 seniors and advocates to tell us what they think what an age-friendly city looks like. That was a huge endeavor. It was a huge endeavor, and we actually collected the data the same way you guys will be doing today with the little clickers, as we call them. Looked like a little calculator. And so we collected the data on that, and New York Academy of Medicine is our partner in this endeavor, and they've had a chance to analyze the data, and from that we've drilled down to do further data collection. In addition to New York Academy of Medicine collecting the data and analyzing the data, they also train volunteers to go into the community for further data collection. We want to make sure that we collect data in a consistent manner so that we have reliable data across the district. So what we've learned so far about the needs of the seniors in the District of Columbia, based on the needs assessment and from that senior symposium. Seniors are an instrumental part of this community. You all know that. You always hear folks say, seniors are the most dependable voting bloc. But it goes beyond that for the mayor, for the deputy mayor, for the Office on Aging. It goes beyond that. We want to focus on how we can make sure that seniors continue to be a vibrant part of this community, whether they're taking up part-time employment, whether they're volunteering at the Office on Aging or a program that the mayor started earlier this year, this intergenerational program, the partnership between DC Office on Aging and DC Public Schools, where seniors are going into public schools and mentoring and reading to the 3- and 4-year-old, and the 3- and 4-year-old, believe it or not, are actually reading to the seniors as well. It is an opportunity, as you see, and I have little ones. If you go to the schools, you'll see some grandparents who are in their 30s and their 40s, right? But you understand that wisdom, and I always say it about my parents, and I love my parents dearly, you get wisdom from the older folks. You get wisdom from the older folks. And so when you can bring seniors into the schools and to be able to just be a valuable contributor to that school district, it means a lot. And so that's what we're doing with our program. So we want seniors to continue to be an asset to the community. What we also learn, and you all know this, we have the barriers. We understand that seniors are on a fixed income. We understand that seniors have to make the tough decisions about going to a doctor's appointment and whether they can pay the copay if they have insurance, whether they can get their prescription drugs. For those seniors raising grandchildren, trying to support that grandchild. I heard a story recently where we had a senior on our homebound meal program. I was so elated that the senior got into this homebound program. It was a person who retired from the federal government, never used the DC Office on Aging, but I found out she used the meal to support a grandchild. And these are real stories that we hear around the District of Columbia. It may not be you. It may not be a neighbor or a church member. But we have many seniors who are hungry in the District of Columbia. And so you see the affordability aspect, and then get into those individuals who are renting homes. That is a huge issue. The crimes, the scams, the abuse, exploitation, neglect. The list goes on, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's financial exploitation. The list goes on. So our job is to make sure that that senior is comfortable. We want to be able, we want to be able to lower the stress level for seniors. Those things that the government can control, we want to control. I'll tell you one thing, when I get in my golden years, I don't want to be stressed. Y'all agree? I don't want to be stressed. All right, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to work with Mr. Mayor on that one. And so we want to be able to address those issues. And we heard it loud and clear about the walking challenges. Can a senior walk down the street to get to that grocery store? If you have a grocery store in your neighborhood. If you have a sidewalk, especially for those seniors in a wheelchair, okay, on a walker, want to make sure that the sidewalk is not cracked. So this is all about creating this age-friendly city. In addition to the 8 domains created by the World Health Organization, the DC Office on Aging, with its partnership with numerous agencies, and I want to also highlight the Department of Health and the work on emergency preparedness and work with Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency, we decided to add that as the 9th domain, disaster preparedness and resilience. And I had a chance to meet with a federal partner recently, Assistant Secretary's Office of Planning and Evaluation under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and she was really excited about the work that we're doing in the District of Columbia, that we've trained 100 volunteers on emergency response as first responders, which is huge. So we want to make sure that if we have a man-made disaster in the District of Columbia or a natural disaster, will we with confidence be able to locate every single homebound senior in the district? That is important to us. We know that many seniors don't have family members in the area. So we want to be sure that every single senior is safe. And so working through our lead agencies, our community-based partners, we will be able to do that. The 10th domain that we created is elder abuse, neglect, and fraud. And I'm sure you guys understand why we need it. You all understand it. As the mayor continues to balance what we call the long-term services and support system in the District of Columbia, and what that means is this balance. For years, there's been an overutilization of nursing home care, institutionalization. Now, we want to be able to balance the system. So, of course, it takes policy. It takes right-sizing the budget and investing more into home and community-based services. And a good example of that, as I shared with folks recently, if you look at the Office on Aging's budget, the mayor has done it. In the last 2 budget cycles, since I've been in the position, our budget at the DC Office on Aging has increased by 55%. Clap on it, please. It has increased by 55%. From $24 million when I came here a little over 2 years ago to now $37 million. That is huge. That is huge. And that is a part of right-sizing, rebalancing this long-term services and support structure. And where I'm going with this is, as you rebalance, we have the infrastructure in nursing homes and other institutional places where we have the ombudsman program. Okay? We have surveyors going to these facilities, making sure our seniors are okay, making sure a person with disabilities aren't getting decubitus ulcers or bed sores. But what are we doing for those seniors and those persons with disabilities who remain in their own homes? And I hear the stories, you all. I hear the stories where you have that caregiver, that paid caregiver, who is abusing that senior. You hear the stories. Who is threatening that senior and saying, you better validate that I was here 40 hours or 36 hours this week and they don't show up. No, I won't tolerate it. I look at every single senior as my mom and my dad, and I want to make sure that you all get the best care. And so that is why we want to focus on this. We have a great partnership with the ombudsman folks. We work through AARP. We work through Director Burns' shop, Adult Protective Services, and the awesome work that they're doing. But we want to make sure that we continue to bolster the relationship. We want to make sure the system is seamless, that no perpetrators will be able to get beyond the government if they violate any senior in the District of Columbia. So as I mentioned a moment ago, with the additional data collection going throughout the city, we call these community consultations. So we're going to the LGBT communities. We're going to the Latino communities. We're going to the Asian Pacific Islander communities. We want to make sure that we get the necessary data. It does us no good to develop a strategic plan in a silo, in a bubble. Yeah, we can sit, everyone has the experience to create a strategic plan, but the plan does you no good if you don't have an effective assessment and you don't hear from the people who you're trying to impact. So we want to make sure that we hear from as many people as possible as we craft this strategic plan. So the months to come, October is right around the corner. So in October and November, the mayor's task force will meet, as well as the 10 committee groups representing the 10 domains. And at that time, they'll have an opportunity to look at the data, work with the New York Academy of Medicine to begin developing this strategic plan and making Washington, D.C. an age-friendly city by 2017. So, as you all probably have noticed so far, the volunteers that are sitting around the table, the majority of these folks are not D.C. government employees. These are our community partners. Howard University is here. George Washington University, as the mayor mentioned earlier with President Knapp. We have many organizations represented. Some groups that we have not necessarily worked with in the past, but we will work with them as we create this strategic plan. So we've engaged many partners so that we can create this plan. So with the mayor's strong support, with the many agencies, as you've heard him and Deputy Mayor called out several names of agency heads who are here today, I want to personally thank them for being here as well. This shows you the significant impact that this plan and the work that we're doing here today and in the future will have on the District of Columbia. And so beyond the executive branch of government, we have the legislative branch of government who signed a council resolution working with AARP and they've committed themselves to be a part of this effort. And Councilmember Anita Bonds, I want to, of course, acknowledge you at a fitting time. And I want to thank you for your advocacy and your support of seniors. And thank you for being here today. And it shows you the huge commitment, once again, you all, of how important this work is. And it cuts across so many agencies, governmental agencies. We're working with our federal partners and the private community to make sure this plan comes into fruition. So as I mentioned earlier, in spring 2014, early next year, the mayor won't have to remind us because we're going to get it done. We're working with President Knapp, who is co-chair, and of course, my immediate boss right here, Bibi Otero. And so we will get it done. And we want, it's not something we're going to rush. It's going to be a robust plan. We're going to have our actionable items. We're going to make sure that we're able to evaluate the progress along the way. We're going to have our timelines. And so we want to, of course, reconvene another group like this in the future to give you another status update. So in the future, what does the future look like? So you've heard the mayor say it. You heard me say it. By 2017, we want to become this age-friendly city. So at that time, we'll make the request to the World Health Organization, who has oversight, AARP, who has oversight in the process, and they'll evaluate our performance. They'll make sure that we've done what we needed to do to become this age-friendly city. And not only become, that is only what I consider the starting point once we hit the mark of becoming an age-friendly city. And the mayor mentioned the word sustainability. We must sustain the effort. It must become a part of the culture of D.C. It has to be the fabric of Washington, D.C. And that is the direction of our efforts. Thank you so much.